The diet war that wasted 30 years of your life. In one corner, Team Low Fat. Cut the butter, ditch the oil, fat makes you fat. In the other corner, Team Low Carb. Burn the bread, drop the rice, carbs are poison. For 30 years, these two camps have fought one of the most vicious wars in nutrition science. Books written, careers built, billions of dollars made. And in 2024, a study of 200,000 people over 3 decades looked at both sides and said, "You were both wrong. Sit down." To understand why this matters, we need to go back. It's 1980. The U.S. government releases its first ever dietary guidelines. The message is clear and simple. Fat is the enemy. Eat less fat, eat more carbs, stay healthy. Overnight, the food industry responds. Shelves fill up with fat-free yogurts, low-fat cookies, and skimmed everything. The problem? When you remove fat from food, it tastes like cardboard, so manufacturers replace it with something else. Sugar, refined starch, chemical additives. Americans followed the guidelines. They ate less fat, and somehow, obesity rates doubled. Heart disease kept climbing. Then, in the 1990s, a cardiologist named Robert Atkins stood up and said, "It's not the fat, it's the carbs. Cut bread, cut sugar, eat steak and butter, lose weight, save your heart." The world split in two. For decades, both sides had studies, both sides had data, both sides had passionate defenders. The problem with most nutrition studies, they last 6 months, maybe a year. They track a few hundred people, and they rely on people remembering what they ate. This study was different. Researchers at Harvard pulled together data from 3 massive long-term studies: the Nurses' Health Study, the Nurses' Health Study 2, and the Health Professionals Follow-Up Study. Combined, they tracked 193,000 adults across 30 years. Every 2 to 4 years, participants filled out detailed food surveys, thousands of data points per person, across 3 decades of meals. Then researchers scored each person on 2 scales. Scale 1, how low carb is your diet? Scale 2, how low fat is your diet? And they cross-referenced those scores against cardiovascular outcomes, heart attacks, strokes, heart disease deaths. The result was not what anyone expected. Here is what they found. People on strict low-carb diets, their cardiovascular risk, about the same as everyone else. People on strict low-fat diets, their cardiovascular risk, also about the same as everyone else. Neither diet by itself meaningfully reduced the risk of heart disease. Over the long term, 30 years of diet war, hundreds of diet books, a multi-billion-dollar diet industry, and the answer to low carb or low fat turned out to be, it doesn't matter. But then the researchers asked a different question. What if we look at what people were actually eating, not just how many carbs or grams of fat? And that's where everything changed. When researchers split participants into 2 groups, not by carbs, not by fat, but by food quality, the data told a completely different story. Group A, low carb or low fat, but eating whole, unprocessed foods, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, lean proteins, nuts, real food, mostly recognizable ingredients. Group B, low carb or low fat, but eating ultra-processed food, packaged snacks, diet sodas, processed meat, refined flour products, flavor-engineered snacks, with 40 ingredients you can't pronounce. The results were stark. Group A, the whole food eaters, showed dramatically lower rates of heart disease, stroke, and cardiovascular death, regardless of whether they were eating low carb or low fat. Group B, the ultra-processed eaters, showed significantly higher cardiovascular risk, again, regardless of macronutrient split. The conclusion was unambiguous. The type of food matters infinitely more than the ratio of carbs to fat. Your heart doesn't care if you're in ketosis. It doesn't care if you've gone fat-free. It cares whether you're eating food. That actually resembles food. But why? Why does processing change everything? 3 reasons scientists keep coming back to. 1. Inflammation. Ultra-processed foods are loaded with refined sugars, industrial seed oils, and artificial additives that trigger chronic low-grade inflammation, and chronic inflammation is the engine behind heart disease. 2. The fiber stripping. When you take a whole grain and refine it into white flour, you strip out the fiber, the minerals, the phytonutrients. What's left spikes your blood sugar fast, regardless of how low-fat or low-carb the label says. 3. Hyperpalatability. Ultra-processed foods are engineered, scientifically designed, to make you eat past fullness. The exact combination of salt, fat, sugar, and texture that overrides your body's natural stop signals. You don't overeat broccoli, you do overeat a flavor-engineered snack, built in a lab to make you want one more. For 30 years, we argued about percentages. 40% carbs or 60, 15 grams of fat or 50. We tracked macros, we counted grams, we bought books and apps and meal plans promising that this specific ratio was the one that would finally work. And the largest nutritional study in history looked at 193,000 people across 3 decades and told us something profoundly simple. Stop obsessing over the ratio, start caring about the ingredient list. An apple is not a cookie even if they have the same carb count. A handful of almonds is not a bag of flavored crisps even if they have the same fat content. Your body knows the difference. 30 years of science just proved it. The diet war is over, not because one side won, because the question was wrong the whole time. Drop a apple if you're done counting macros. Like and subscribe. New science story every week.